Hello, Ariyo.
Lady Aisha, Madam, thank you.
My brother,
Thank you.
good
Thank
evening.
you for having me. Good evening. I'm going to release my video shortly. I'm just raising home. I'm almost at home.
Okay.
Let me use this opportunity to thank Madam Aisha for all you're doing. Let's talk Nigeria. Let's talk Nigeria. This is my second time of participating on this platform on the
Yeah.
board. And I can tell you that the conversation is really very fruitful and very encouraging to some of us.
Thank you.
One thing, why it's one of the most engaging conversations so far in Nigeria today, because when there is a conversation and people are talking about it, you should know that it's something worthwhile.
Yeah.
And somebody said today that a politician called himself today that he as a person is a political party because of his crowd. I think Madam Aisha is an organization, one man, one lady organization who is really, having a good effect on all of us. So,
Thank you.
let me quickly talk about the whole essence of the electoral reform. It's a collective responsibility, really. There are a lot of things that are actually agitating us in Nigeria.
Okay, so before we go there, Ariyo, can you just tell us a bit about yourself? Yeah, I know you. You're my brother. There are people who don't know you. So can you just give us a bit of introduction so that people just catch up on who is it that they are listening to today?
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is so let them see. Just get it on.
Okay.
My name is Ariyo, co-convener Center for Liberty, and also the project lead on electoral reform advocacy. I'm an activist. I'm involved in different organizations. I have my direct organization with some other place called Atoye for Development Initiative. We've been part of the struggle, memorable struggle like the one we did together with Madam Aisha in 2016 that we were able to kill the social media. We've been involved in several struggles, including the one, I remember the one that I think about 5 of us held the entire National Assembly to ransom during the issue of Senator Abo.
Yeah, Abo Moro.
Madam Aisha was there. Just about less than 7 of us. We had to open the 2 gates of the National Assembly, and it was really very, very interesting that very thing. So I must say that we've been part of the conversation for a nation that should work. And part of the things we are doing is electoral reform, which is also what Madam Aisha and every other people are doing that too. Even when we talk about human rights, we also talk about good governance, we talk about bad leadership. We cannot, since we know that we have accepted that we want a nation that works, and the fact that we are not going to advocate for good Peter, we're not going to advocate for unconstitutional removal of the government of the day. We're not going to advocate for that people should move and destroy the political parties and destroy those who are actually, that the only way that through which we can do it is through what you call the ballot box revolution and electoral revolution, which is something that is very, very important that all of us can get involved in. So that's one of the reasons why some of us.
Ariyo, can you hear me? Hello, Ariyo. So Ariyo, can you please unmute your ear so I see that maybe Ariyo mistakenly got himself muted. And so for those of you that have your hands up, this is not the time yet. We're going to allow. Yes. Yeah. So you went off.
Yes, I don't know why something was not coming. The unmute button was not actually working.
Yeah, sorry
Let me
about that.
quickly, because my children were distracting me. Sorry.
It's
Let me
okay.
say this: that electoral reform is something that almost all Nigerians should get involved in. We want to change our own way of doing things, and if we really want to get the leadership process right, our recruitment process must be on point. And the only way we can get our recruitment process right is for us to put in place enduring electoral reform.
Okay.
When we put in place enduring electoral reforms, then we'll be able to have free, fair, credible election. Free, fair, credible election will definitely produce good leaders. And when we have good leaders, we have good governance. When we have good governance, then definitely we'll have a better nation. So that's why some of us are committed to this electoral reform. And I believe that it is a collective responsibility that all of us should involve in. And we have our own irreducible minimum. Some of those things that we can do that can help us to address the deficit in our electoral system. And we have put together two documents. There is one which is called the irreducible minimum. There is one that is also general in nature, which we want to use to engage the National Assembly. And our commitment is that we should have this law passed this year.
Okay.
The reason why we are committed to 2020 is this. Madam Aisha, you will recall that the moment we get to 2021, we are going to have partisan involvement. The partisanship will become so excessive. Currently, the partisanship is moderated. So we can still afford to back this bill this year when the partisanship is not getting moderated.
Okay.
We know that the people in the National Assembly made up of three political parties, PDP, APC, and I think one from YPP. So we saw what happened during the 8th National Assembly when there was a dissenting, opposition on the issue of order of election between the executive and the legislative arm. That dragged into late 20. And by the time the president finally accepted the last version, the president said that, can you sign an undertaking that the implementation will commence post 2019 general elections? So what we are saying in essence is that we don't want to repeat, the mistakes of the past, the pitfall of the past. So that's why we're agitating that all Nigerians should, put pressure on the National Assembly to have this law passed so that we can test run it in the coming governorship election in Anambra. We've already missed out
Edo State.
But if we have it this year, then let's start planning towards Anambra 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ariyo. I do know that you have a lot on your hands right now, especially with the children. You just got back home, which you're supposed to have time for the kids. They haven't seen daddy all day, and here we are actually disturbing you. So Ariyo, some of the things that I'm going to look at, I don't know whether you want to have a moment with your children. You can do that while I look at the memorandum that we have here. I just discuss it, and then you come back, and then we'll be able to ask you questions. So they have a memorandum on proposed bills on electoral reforms in the 9th National Assembly by their organization, of which Ariyo is with. Ariyo is one of the co-founder. So first of all, one of the things they're advocating for is that all elections should be on one day. And I think personally for me, I love that. There's no need why you have presidential election, you have National Assembly, then you now have, no, everything should be on one day. We save money, we will save time, we will not waste so much of energy. You just bring all this. We are already going to complete our papers. No while, give us all the papers. All you could do, you could have the boxes, the one of governor, the one of the presidential, the one of the National Assembly, they are on this side, then a little space they will put the other one. So when you're done with the one of presidential and the National Assembly, you just simply move to the other side, and then you collect your papers, and then you vote the ones that you're doing for the governor and the House of Assembly and the rest of it. And I think it's very important, and it's very key. The High Priest Silva. Please, either you can join in through Zoom, or later on I'll bring you on from Facebook. But just now I'm just going to explain some of those things, and then we'll have Ariyo come in and do more explaining to us, telling us what is it that we can do to ensure we contribute to this noble act that they are really working on, because we need a situation whereby we can vote and know that our votes we can have the right people coming into office. So part of the things they have here, of course, he said, is the fact that if they are calling for, here they say section 25 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended provides for the order that our elections should follow. That Center for Liberty is proposing that this section should be amended to reflect that all elections into the office of the Senate, House of Assembly Representatives, Presidency, State Assembly, and governorship election should be done on one day. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And of course, they went on to give reasons why they feel. They say it will reduce the prevalence of violence in our election. You know what we have now? They will finish the presidential election, then you know which president win, and then they can use that to muzzle. They can send in the soldiers and more people. They will deploy on certain days. On this one, it's one election. Scatter everything, and it will be a problem for all. So on that same day, everybody will be battling for himself. It's not as if, I've already won my election, so now I can come and help you bully people. Everybody will be fighting to get their own election, and then we too will do the needful. So that's why they also talk English. Sometimes English we want to reduction of economic English, sometimes English will want to disgrace me, but I refuse to allow it to disgrace me. Reduction of economic oh gosh, I can't even pronounce this word. Letargy. Please, when you want to speak, help me pronounce the word. So because of the kind of school I went to, up until I was like 12, 13, I couldn't speak English. It was when I started a secondary school, private secondary school that I went to, it was very difficult for me. I couldn't speak English. They made fun of me. I had to learn. It was in my SS1 that I became the best student in English. And growing up, we didn't have TV. I couldn't watch movies. So some words, I can't pronounce them. And normally what I do is that I don't use them. So I always say that I write better than I speak, though I speak well, my thoughts. So please pardon me on that. So what you're saying basically, where you have there's an economic, how do I put it now? Where things aren't working, you just, because there's election, things will be on delay. There's almost like an economic downturn every time we have our election. And just because we're going to do election, these are some of the things that we can prevent by having all of these elections on one day. Another thing, Ariyo, I'm going to put, where is Ariyo now? I'm going to ask you to unmute, so that if there's something we want to contribute or correct me while I'm going through this thing here. So the next thing, of course, they're talking about full biometrics for accreditation and electronic transmission. Right now, our law does not support electronic transmission, and that's a huge problem. What you have is the one that, they will vote, they will have to count it manually, do everything, carry it by hand, enter road or plane, and begin to come to Abuja. Who does that? 2023 or 2020? We are in 2020. So they propose that the section 45, 63, and 65 of the amendment must capture full biometrics for accreditation and electronic transmission accreditation data and electronic transmission of votes result. They propose the following. This section should be amended to include the electronic transmission of vote results in the same manner as the writers of the amendment bill expect that accreditation data should be transmitted, that is, using secure mobile communication gadgets. There's always that fear that these results might be tampered with. So before I go on, let me come back to you, Ariyo. In terms of having this electronic transfer, what are you looking at whereby maybe people will not tamper with this results, even though it's electronic. One of the things that we seem to assume is that automatically, if we have electronic voting or electronic transmission of results, then everything will be okay. But that's not the case, because we have seen countries where they did that, but everything just didn't become okay. For example, in Kenya, they're having issues with that. At the same time, also, is there anything that you're looking at it to ensure that the kind of players that come into the candidates themselves, especially what has to do with internal democracy amongst parties and all of that, is this also captured in the things that you're doing?
Thank you very much. And I think I would say with every sense of responsibility that Madam Aisha has done justice to this campaign, more than we have even done in terms of trying to market it. She said something very profound that scatter one, you scatter all. I like that. So you save one, you save all,
yes.
Which is something very instructive. And let me say this, that just as you express the concern which we've seen in other climes like Kenya, which you said, that's why we're looking at bringing all the puzzles together.
Okay.
So now look at how the puzzles will work. So you're going to have all elections in one day. You're going to have full biometrics. You're going to have e-transmission of results. Now, that's, if we get this done, if INEC is committed to this, we're going to have over 90% of free, fair, credible elections in Nigeria. Like something, the phrase that Madam Aisha said, you scatter one, you scatter all. So a party could be losing in the governorship election and be winning in the House of Assembly. The party could be losing in the presidential election, the presidential vote in that same polling unit, and be winning in the House of Assembly.
Yeah.
So the House of Assembly candidate who knows that this is my stronghold, I'm likely to win, is not going to allow the talk sent by his party simply because they're likely to lose the presidential election. So all the political parties will become self-conflicted. And one thing that they will have to do is that on that day, everybody will be interested in what you call it, the sanctity of the ballot paper and protecting the votes that will be counted on that day. So now when you have that, and it is supported by full biometrics, what that means is that accreditation is done and accreditation can no longer be part. Whatever figure that is recorded, that figure is transmitted through the card reader to the INEC central server. So the issue of rigging, and it's going to be the same accreditation across board. So you're not going to say 20 people got accredited for House of Assembly, but 30 people got accredited for presidential election. It's going to eliminate, padding at that level.
So let me just say, do you have the card reader here being made part of the law? Is it part of the campaign that you have for the electoral reforms?
Yes, that is under the full biometrics the full biometrics for accreditation. Full biometrics for accreditation is about the card. So the card reader is used for accreditation. What that is that the card will not just be for verification, it will be authenticated by the card reader, and that will be stored as a data on the card reader, and this data will now be transmitted to INEC central server.
But what I'm saying is that specifically recognized as part of the law, because the last amendment they did that, but at the end of the day, I don't know, it was said that it wasn't specifically stated as. So do you have that on this amendment?
Yes.
Okay, yes, fantastic.
That's exactly what our recommendation is saying.
Okay.
That's exactly what our recommendation is saying, that we must have it in our law, that the amended Electoral Act should now recognize electronic platform. And we are being specific by saying full biometrics, because it is one thing to just, talk about an open-ended electronic platform, and INEC decide to probably on its own side to circumvent and say, okay, we are not doing full biometrics. That even though at any point now we don't have the capacity to do it, we'll implement it later. No. We currently have the capacity to do it because we have the card reader, and the card reader will definitely have to authenticate, the permanent voter's card. So we stated expressly in the act. The fortunate thing about this campaign is that this had already passed in the National Assembly in the 8th session of the National Assembly. The current session has also agreed it should be part of it. But the difference between the current session and the last session is in the issue of electronic transmission of results.
Okay.
While the current session is silent about it, the last session actually started it into it, calling for electronic transmission of results. So our advocacy is now saying that that section must be returned to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, that we must have the transmission. But you see, there is something that INEC is not even doing, which is noble and significant, which we must put pressure that's why we have to put this pressure for us to have our law recognize this electronic transmission of results. INEC is doing something called Z2C. And what that Z2C recommends is that when the results are recorded on the from ECA, then you use the device that is provided, provided for this purpose, provided and given to the presiding officers. They will snap it and send to a dedicated website, which is very fantastic. Now, what that means is that it is that same from CHA, So, because for instance, why this is even good, which we can have both, is that sometimes politicians or people can allege that in the process of computing these results, for instance, the results are on paper.
They change it.
PDP, APC, this. So you will allege that in the process of computing it, probably maybe there is an error, or maybe somebody who's scored 15 decided to put 150 or something like that. But apart from computing, but you're able to snap the results, as it were, and to upload these results to a dedicated. So if we're able to implement all of these, what we're going to have is a credible process. And look, the beauty of some of the things we're advocating is institutionalizing a day for our election. For instance, United States of America, you know that every 4 years, the first Tuesday of November is dedicated to election every 4 years. So the date is known. From this November 3rd, you know when another president is going to come in November 3rd in the next 4 years in the US. So we also have, since we will always conduct our elections on Saturday, what should be that? Are we going to say, is it the first Saturday of
February?
Okay. Yes, first Saturday or second Saturday. So Nigerians know when
where to. You even know, you will know what to expect and what. Not that you are waiting for INEC chairman to tell you what the date would be like.
Absolutely. Nobody in INEC chairman to give you timetable. Let the process be fully finalized. Let it be the calendar so that the politics of INEC fixing a date for an election or something like that
is taken out.
It's totally eliminated.
Fantastic.
As a nation, this is 20th years of the Fourth Republic as a nation, so we should be able to have an enduring electoral reform and have a deal. And why we want this as a 20, let me also explain. Why we also want it as a 2020 electoral act is that the last bill we had was 2010, but has gone through several amendments. So when you go to market today to buy electoral act, sometimes you can maybe in 2012, 11, you get the one that was amended in 2015. So you don't really know which
one is the latest one.
Let us have what we call repeal and enactment. So that repeal and enactment will give us Electoral Act
2020, a new brand one. Thank you so much. Ariyo, just listening to you, I'm so excited. But I know there are so many things you have here that I would like us to touch all of them. So I'm going to go to pre-election matters appeal. And I love the fact, some of the things. I'll allow you to explain that. But for me, what I'm looking at is the fact that where there is a definite time where every pre-election issue should be settled. Not the one that 2 days to election, court ruling will come, and then they will say one thing or the other, then you're doing one thing. Then beyond that, there is something I don't think I've seen it here. Is there a way we can have pictures of candidates on the ballot paper, apart from party logo? Or let's have picture of, I think the picture of candidate is more important than the party logo. I will give you reason why I'm saying this. So first of all, if we are able to have maybe 2 months to election or 3 months to election or so weeks to give INEC enough time to print material, all pre-election materials must be settled, and then we have these pictures of candidates, so that we have a lot of people who are not educated. They just hear APC, PDP, AMPP, LRP, GP, QRC, whatever. They don't. Sometimes people don't even know who is the candidate. All they know is the party. So if they see a picture, for example, they know, this person is a thief now. Why would I vote for him? Meanwhile, ordinarily, you didn't even know he was running as a senator or the House of Rep member. There are people who actually vote, they don't know these people. But by seeing picture, they will be able to know, is this a good person or a bad person? Is this somebody they should do? So let's discuss on these pre-election matters, and also if these are some of the things that you're thinking of having with the new electoral reform we are looking at. Hello, Ari. Okay. Go ahead.
Hello,
I can hear you.
First, before I go, let me also use this opportunity to thank you. I think our listeners, the participants are listening. I know that there was a time I approached Madam Aisha that we wanted her to support this campaign, and there was something, I think, an honorarium for whatever I think the campaign offered, and I think Madam Aisha flatly turned it down that she's a Nigerian, she will definitely support this cause free of charge. So I want to commend you on behalf of our but
thank you.
And I believe that they're offering us this platform because this platform, what do you call it? And for this campaign, which is very dear to us and dear to experience. So what we have succeeded in, advocating for is, you see, what she said is there is this unending litigation. And not just unending litigation, there is something diabolical. I use the word diabolical in the sense that it doesn't make any sense that INEC will observe a party primary. And the following week, somebody will go to Justice Abba to go and obtain injunction. So another previous obtain an injunction, I would say is the candidate of the party. And INEC will recognize that person under the guise of obeying court order. So what we are saying is this. Yeah, it may be difficult to put an end to litigation before the primary, but we have found a way around it. So what we are saying is that the moment a primary has been observed by INEC, the candidate of that primary shall remain, the product of that primary shall remain the candidate of the party until the final determination of the suit, which means that until the Supreme Court has ruled, which is the last court of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria. So that will now sit well when they know that even when you go ahead and obtain your injunction or whatever, that INEC will not recognize you until the final determination of the suit. You will see that the issue of pre-election will drop by more than 70-80% because they will know that what they normally do is to circumvent the process after INEC had completed the primary. So it's going to, there is also some, like I said, sorry, Madam Aisha, we have two documents. There is a third document which is supposed to add, there is like two other things that we're supposed to add to this. For instance, under this party primaries issue in terms of the both direct and indirect primary, for instance, we talked about the issue to have representation, that inclusion and representation of challenged people, and also it's constant that we must have a certain number of women represented, in party primaries as delegates, and also when we should have delegates elections. All these things are things we're advocating and campaigning for us to have decent election process, so that we're able to put sanity into the conduct of our elections. So we know that the pre-election litigations are very. I'm with you, madam.
Oh, okay. So the thing is, there's so many things here. So I don't know whether it's okay with you to have this document shared so that people can have it. Hello?
Yeah, I will send you. Can you hear me? I will send you the link. Is uploaded on our website, number one. Then I will also send you the colored copy. The one I sent to you is so that people maybe you want to copy, tweet, put on Facebook.
Yes, fantastic, because this is a great. So if you can, that link, if you have it right now, so that you share it on the chat. I'm going to open up the chat. Normally the chat is that people can, because there's so much here. There's so much here, so that people can. Okay, so I've just opened up the chat. Hello, Ariyo.
Yes, I'm going to send you the link, and I'm also going to send you the PDF copy.
Okay, so if you can just send that to me, and then so what I'm going to do is that I will go on and just put it on there, and then people can copy, put it on Facebook too, because there are so many things. I see here where you talk about. Let me just quickly go through the topics, and then so that we can open the lines for people to ask you questions, because the most important thing for today is what is it that every one of us can do. This is not just something that we will leave for you and we'll go and be sleepy and say, oh, there are a few people that every one of us, our hands must be on deck. So let me just read out the headlines we have here. You guys talked about ad hoc delegates election, timing and tenure. You're also talking about eligibility of members participating in primary elections. It's this internal democracy is where really sometimes they bring in all sorts of candidates that you just wonder, how did this party come out with this candidate? There's also the issue of on-campaign finance reform. You talked about there's the part on ensuring compliance with the provisions of the act. We have, that's number 7. Number 8, also strengthening INEC, because it's very important. The political the electoral umpire must actually be independent. Right now, must actually be independent. Right now, the only independent in INEC is just the eye that is there. Every other thing you see, it's not really independent, where they have to be begging for money here, they have to be doing this. And I see part here you talk about the independence of the INEC chairman. Mode of appointment of the chairman should be reconsidered in line with recommendations of the Uwais report. Internal and external factors hindering the commission from effectively discharging its duties should be examined. Further partnership with CSOs and other stakeholders is recommended in this regard. And so, Ariyo, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just allow you to talk overview on all of this, what you want to talk to. Then I'll open the line so that people will be able to ask questions. And then you tell, and then also you round up by telling us what is it that we can do. The name of the organization, where is it that we can be at? I know some people have seen the what do you call it now? The petition that it's being signed. Beyond that, what are the other things that we can do? Go ahead, please. Hello, Ariyo, can you hear me?
Thank you very much again for offering. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ariyo. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, you've actually highlighted a lot of our recommendations. Once we've made available currently is our reducing minimum, because we know that we're talking about several amendments that have been proposed. But we decided to have the irreducible so that these ones can be within our monitoring and reach as something that, look, these things must be done for us to have a semblance of an electoral act that is actually, purposive and very, very important, to strengthen our election. For instance, strengthening and making the eye truly independent. We have to look at what the waste panel, the waste committee recommended in terms of having, the INEC chairman, appointed by other president, because when you put it under too much control of the executive, what that means is that the executive will be the one that is actually dictating everything. We have to be sensitive. That's one of the reasons why we recommended the waste committee. We've also talked about the delegates in terms of, having the Electoral Act recognizes direct and indirect party primaries. Now, we are saying that for us, indirect party primary, which means that you have to have what you call ad hoc delegate. We are recommending that the issue of statutory delegate should be eliminated. You know what happened about
So what can you explain to us what is statutory delegate?
Now, statutory delegates, these ones, they don't go through elections. They are not like ad hoc delegates. So, for instance, a governor, commissioner, people who may be member of House of Representatives from that state, member of Assembly, all of them are recognized as statutory delegates, in a party. Okay. So they don't need to go through the what do you call it, delegate primaries for them to emerge. Okay. We are saying that this gives undue advantage to the incumbent in every party. So we should eliminate what we call statutory delegate and ad hoc delegate. Let everybody, the fact that you're a member elected means that you already have a double advantage, which is not fair in politics. You have money, you have position, you still also want to have a free elective, still want to have a free pass, for you to be, a delegate, which is not good. Let everybody be subjected to what you call it, election. So that both the incumbent and another person who is sitting contest within the party, all of them have a level playing ground. So the essence of calling for the elimination of statutory delegate is to provide for never who's going to be your friend or enemy tomorrow. But let us have the delegate 2 years before the election. So the names are there, are with INEC. The only thing that will happen ahead of that time is betting. Also, we are recommending that that nobody should be able to contest for any election 2 years, into the move from another party to contest another years to election. In order to stop this cross-carpet.
Yes.
So all these things we're proposing, this proposal specifically seeks to eliminate all those things that are making our electoral system worthless, and insensible. So we believe that by the time we're able to put together, we're able to get this achieved, there will be sanity in the political parties. People will not be moving from party A to party B without suffering something. There should be consequence for action. There should be consequence for somebody who has to be voted for in a particular party and you now want to move to another party, without renouncing that mandate, without dropping that mandate, which is totally uncalled for.
Yeah.
These are some of the things we are recommending. We may not, I know that if they should stop cross-carpeting, they will not want to accept it. This member of the National Assembly will not want to accept it. But by the time we make the because for you to be able to move from one party to other, to be able to contest with that party, you must have been a member of that party at least. And you will not be able to contest except you have been in that party for at least minimum of 2 years, which will definitely overcome this issue. So they are granting them waiver, all manner of waiver, totally undermine. So they also have election finance reform. Yes, campaign finance reform. What this seeks to do is that we have the young to not young to run, but after we start having the young to run, but not that needed for the not young to run to be able to contest, because our political system is heavily monetized, and that loss. So what we are saying is that
because I see the way he left it.
For instance, that session of National Assembly, I think make that of Assembly, I think 500,000, House of Rep to 1 million naira, Senate, I think 2 million naira government, presidential.
It's stepping on my toes. Hello,
I think that Michael on Facebook. Can you just put down the volume of so that we listen to Ariyo, and then I'll bring you into asking the question that you need to ask him. So go ahead, Ariyo. So in the meantime, also please, for those on Zoom, kindly raise your hand. We'll have time now. We'll bring you on now to ask Ariyo more questions, and then for him to explain to us. Go ahead, Ariyo.
So this campaign finance reform will strengthen the not too young to run, campaign that was done successfully.
Okay.
Young people to contest my election. And when you see, Madam Aisha, the advocate of everything, we are proposing is things that will help to eliminate money politics, such that Nigerians can tomorrow, Madam Aisha, to contest and also the outcome, so that people who will not be who doesn't have money to spend can become part of this process.
Yeah.
To ensure that your authority will count, your mandate will count, your votes will count. Not people who are using this to eliminate, to undermine this process.
Thank you.
This is a one-off campaign. This is a marathon, because we know that even if we have people with some I think for many other things to be done in our system. So we believe that one thing our demand to this platform, to Madam Aisha and people like here, is that look, how we are going to agitate the country and make the National Assembly to pass this law this year. We don't want to go beyond December this year. So apart from signing the petition, which is very sacrosanct, apart from maybe posting and all sort of things, people can also put calls across to lawmakers. And probably when we call for a public rally, people can also join us. And also, in many ways that people continue to sustain this for our lawmakers to order and ensure that this law passed. But anything we can do to get this law passed this year, we don't want to get to 2021, because we know by the time it gets into 2021, partisanship will undermine
the whole process.
And we don't really.
Honestly,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Listening to you, it's so exciting, and you just see that these are the things that we can do. And of course, that rally going to the National Assembly, I think is very important. It's one of the things that need to be called for, so that people can meet together, for just like when they had the Not Too Young to Run meetings with the National Assembly, also citizens coming together in numbers and going there to make this demands. We have Michael on, I think it's Michael, right? On Facebook. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, Michael. God gift Alpha. He has his hands raised. Earlier on, MH Bauer is no longer on the meet together with us here. He had his hand up. God gifts. Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Naija people. Go ahead, please, either with your contribution or your question for Ariyo. He's listening to you.
Good evening, Aisha.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Ariyo.
Good evening.
Yes, I really want to ask if the electoral reform has anything to do if the need to test the mental state of our politician is included in the electoral reform bill. That is one.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
That is one. Beyond the electoral reform, there's the need for reform in our administrative system and financial management and transparency. Not just during the election.
Okay, so is that one? Okay, God give. Let me just a clarification. Is that one under the of the politics of the financing of the election and all of that, or are you talking of the general nations?
Yes, I did say the first one. No, I mean the first question I did ask. I was trying to ask. I asked if there's a provision
for testing. I've noted that down.
For our politicians.
Yes, I've noted it. That is the second one.
And then secondly, I did ask in terms of financing. I was saying, is there provision also to also say, because I am looking at, beyond the pre-election issue or the election issue, what about when these people have been sworn into office, our politicians have been sworn into office? Don't you think it is necessary for us to know what the aim, that is to say, I'm talking of their take-home pay. Nigerians should know, because those who elected them should be able to know what they are aiming. It shouldn't be in secrecy. Like Mr. Ariyo said, is there also provision that the appointment of INEC chairman should be taken away from the president or from the executive, and who should handle that?
Okay, thank you so much, God Gift. I think you have quite a number of questions here. Though number two, even before Ariyo comes in, I will say it's not. It doesn't have to do with the electoral bill itself, but it's on another completely different issue in terms of monitoring and holding accountability and transparency from government and what is going on. But I will allow Ariyo to go ahead and do this, or let me see. Hello, Ariyo. Let me see what's happening. I hope it's okay. He's Ariyo, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Multiple questions from my brother there. Number one, he talked about the mental health of a politician. This is very important. We can't get that done in the Electoral Act, but thank God that a channel is open for us again to review the 1999 Constitution as amended. Probably that will give us the window to look about at that aspect of where it talked about also incapacitation of the president. I think we should also extend it, the way to testing as part of the recommendation to test mental politicians, probably to make certificate of health available as part of the document they are submitting, to INEC. Also, in terms of the leadership of INEC and the person who has the power to appoint the INEC chairman, this has to do with actually the Constitution. It's not the Electoral Act. So the things that we can include in the Electoral Act, the ones that are electoral reforms that are meant will definitely be updated for that in the days ahead when this process finally commences. So we are taking it one after the other. What we don't want is this, which I believe that we have Madam Aisha by our side to help us to shout at these people that look, don't conflict electoral acts with the constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
If the constitutional review will this electoral act, let us constitutional review next year.
Yeah.
Nigerians can wait. Let us this elect started this year 2020.
Okay, so Ariyo, let me just come in, Ariyo, because there's somebody on Facebook here who seems not to agree with you, because Remicles Ohamal B says nothing like electoral reform without changing the rogue constitution. Remember, those people running Nigeria are minorities. So that's from one of our viewers here on Facebook. Hello, Ariyo.
Yeah, can I respond?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, that's why I read it for you.
Yeah, I think it's very important for them to understand that there is a difference between the Electoral Act and the Constitution. So there are provisions that are only captured in the Electoral Act. Those are the ones we are fighting for. The one actually within the framework of the Constitution, those ones we are going to agitate for later. We don't want to, take anything at the same time. Like I said, the issue of qualification of candidates is taken care of by the Constitution. The issue of INEC is taken by the Constitution. What my other brother there in terms of the mental health of candidates and people is taken care of for the Constitution. I remember something that I wrote to the 2011 Constitutional Review Committee that the candidates must declare their asset. People must declare the candidate, not even after winning. That full asset is to be submitted with your form as the moment you become a candidate of a political party, not when you win. You must complete your form and submit your asset declaration form. You submit it to INEC, you also submit it to your political party, which is because if you are liable, your political party is also liable and will also, have to bear the burden of your indiscipline. So we are saying that look, we have over 200 million Nigerians. We don't want people who are cutting corners. We don't want, if some of us, have decided to maintain from primary school, secondary school to behave very well, conduct ourselves, become good people in life, then we shouldn't even think for criminals who simply because who want to circumvent the process. So we should, every nation must actually look for an opportunity to have its best in leadership. So those are the things that we are advocating for.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. And then let me just quickly add something to what the point you've already made is the fact that look, when we have electoral reform that will bring a free, fair election, credible election, there will be many people, credible candidates will be encouraged to run for office. And when we have people with competence, character, and capacity, most importantly, character in position, they will ensure that all of these things are taken care of. They know that our constitution isn't what it's supposed to be, and they will do something about it. What we have right now are just charlatans and rogues in power, and we must ensure that we do not allow that to continue to happen. And I love the way Ariyo put it, to say you can't have people. We cannot continue to punish good behavior and then reward bad behavior, because that's what we do in Nigeria. Somebody will steal money, somebody will steal billions. The next thing, you will run for election and we will vote for that person. Come on. Meanwhile, somebody has been doing the right thing right from primary school, have never done anything wrong. They've worked in public office, they've public treasury, they have not stolen, they safeguarded Nigerian money. Their families had to suffer because of that. And then people who went ahead to just steal money, you just come and then you're giving them a position. For example, the governor of Bauchi State has corruption charges against him. He's in court. The next thing, he's now a governor for the next 4 years. He has immunity. After he's done with his 4 years, we expect him to go for re-election. We have another immunity. The APC candidate in Edo State, Pastor Yamu, he has a corruption charges. He has corruption case. Yet he's running for election. We must continue to ensure that we do not reward bad behavior. I'm going to come to Tobenna because I see Tobenna has his hands up. Hello, Tobenna. Can you hear me?
Good evening, Madam Aisha.
Good evening. And so go ahead, fire away.
I want to ask the question to Mr. Ariyo about he made mention of the amount of money politicians spend into election campaign, thereby making it hard for ordinary citizens, most especially young people, to be part of this process. And we know that this outrageous amount they spend on campaign and campaign rally is part of the problem and the corruption problems we see in our National Assembly. Because after spending such huge amount of money, you need to get that amount back. What did they do? They will be, instead of debating things in the National Assembly, they debate increasing of allowance and salaries, budget padding, because of those, in my own opinion, because of the amount they spend to get themselves elected. So my question for Mr. Ariyo, I want to know, in your opinion, how much do you think politicians, either at the federal level, state, or local government level, should spend for their election campaign or election bid?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madam Aisha, let me just quickly do you know that currently in our Electoral Act, I think that is actually stipulated, but there is no enforcement.
Yes.
That I think as a presidential candidate, you cannot spend more than, I think, 1 billion naira. As a governorship candidate, you cannot spend more than, I think, 200 or 500 million naira. As senator, as Senate candidate, you cannot spend beyond, I think, 100 million or there. But all these are spent for their
and also how much can be donated by individual. It's also stipulated in cash.
Yeah. And I think what we need to do is that, and I think that's one area that civil society and the media and other pressure groups have actually not been their searchlights on. And I think it's important that we really need to take
che domani che poi non siamo per lui siamo vicini e dedichiamo questa vittoria. Grazie Enrico. Allora, qui limiti, il primo riguarda anche durante la partita perché la guardavamo l'Italia ha prodotto moltissimo, avesse prodotto molto e ha concretizzato poco rispetto a quanto ha prodotto. È il tipo di calcolo che può portare magari a essere un po' più corti, mettiamola così. Sicuramente davanti una ha dato tantissimo, tanto per le conclusioni fatte con il lavoro sia sport che difensivo, ma anche di profondità per aprire gli spazi per i compagni. Stasera hanno detto che era importante vincere, quindi questa è una cosa importante. Però è anche vero che la partita così, con tante occasioni, bisogna essere estremamente vicini, non sprecarle così tanto, perché sono come negli ultimi minuti poi si soffre tanto. Fare via stasera con un pareggio sarebbe stato veramente importante per la partita. Molto bene fatto, difensiva molto bravo anche D'Ambrosio che è stato più bloccato rispetto a Spinazzi. Credo che siano stati degli equilibri, perché dall'altra parte c'era Locatelli che si aspettava molto da fare il doppio modello per il team, perché la sua situazione benissimo spingere. La D'Ambrosio stava molto bene, anche per quindi se potrei farlo che funziona bene. Sai perché te l'ho detto? Perché sì, eccolo qui, Danilo D'Ambrosio. Allora, te l'aspettavi così questa partita oppure vedevi delle difficoltà maggiori? Perché si era parlato tanto di questa capacità offensiva dell'Olanda, però alla fine non avete colto.
Thank you so much, Ariyo. Like you said, we have to start from somewhere. And then we can copy. It's not just to copy draconian laws like our lawmakers do, but we can look at things that are working elsewhere and copy them. They say that experience is the best teacher, but nobody says you have to experience it to learn from it. You can do other people's experience. Thank you so much for that explanation. We have a caller here on Facebook. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hello. So go ahead with your question, please, for Mr. Ariyo or comments. We are talking about the
good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
And thank you, ma'am, for what you have been doing in the life of Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
Because some of us in Nigeria, some of us are very useless, and we can ask stupid questions. Because this is not the matter of to ask questions, and this is who you want to ask question with. And it's not the person in the government. It is not the person in the office. And you need somebody you need to ask question with. You are asking another person a question you're supposed to ask your governor or your president or your councilor. It does not make sense. Because when the youth decide to say they want to change the country, they want to take the country back for the old Kaaba. We will see the men 100 years coming. We will see they discuss on the issue, because the youth we are fearful. We are fearful. We just to talk to us who can do one bottle of beer. We come out for show media and do some video. Who can do some certain things? We come out for video and do so. This is not the problem. We have a problem at hand. How can we resolve this problem? How can we take these people out of office and make the youth who have who have better thinking for the betterment of Nigeria? Okay, you cannot because my father used to tell us a person not need to go school before you know a papa picture. Now, we Nigeria, whether we go school, we not go school, and when we see good, we still say not bad. When we see bad, we still say not good.
Okay.
We cannot continue to live like this. Okay, they tell we Nigeria and I say, boy, don't bomb. Fire don't bomb boy. They ask the same Nigeria. Which kind of question be that one? Because sometimes if I this in Nigeria situation, I will see the judo on the same circle. When did not stood up to fight? Because this one will say I have to benefit for this one, I have to benefit for. Okay, look at what is happening in the state. No city is coming around to come and say something. But if they have to change social media now, come and say something, come and do social media, come and do comedy. We have to come and do comedy. Because Nigeria don't become bigger because according to one of our to spoil and spoil it. Nigeria is walking to the stage of spoiling it. Because my sister, you have to. We cannot not because why I just called because when I see people asking you a question, you are not the one in government. You are not the one in the office. Go ask your government why are we in this position in this problem. To forget who you would need to ask questions. Okay, this is what we need to do to make sure say these people leave the office.
Okay.
But this our people don't listen, my sister. That's what I want to say. Thank you for everything that you have done.
Thank you so much, my brother, and thank you for watching out for me. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there we have a caller that called. He didn't have any question, but he just needed to air his mind. And one of the things I've noticed with this show that sometimes people just want to be heard. People just want to talk. People just want to, sometimes they're just tired of the things that are going on, and it's just like this never. So I just allowed the people to just have that place to be able to vent and have things out. I'm calling on Emmanuel George. Emmanuel George, please kindly unmute yourself so that we'll ask. We'll need to start rounding up before we that. Ariyo just came in and then he had to start doing this so that we'll have him be able to properly be there for his family. So go ahead, Emmanuel.
Aisha, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening.
Following you right from Lagos and all the rest of them since I've been here in overseas.
Thank you.
My point is this. I just want to ask one question. Looking at the totality of Nigerian situation, because I know the point is centered on electoral reform and the constitution. It's okay. At times, I just, when we are talking about the constitution, we talk about electoral reform, we are talking about the citizens in one way. Do you understand me?
Yeah, go ahead.
And from my own perspective, and from the way I look at Nigerian institutions, actually, with the system which the president, the government has positioned, they still doubt with all our grammar that something credible will come out of the constitution, electoral reform, because...
So why do you doubt? Why do you think nothing credible will come out?
That is a very good question. As an activist, I know I've championed a lot of things in overseas before. It's okay. You see, why I doubt is that if you watch the present positioning of Nigerian situation, if we can tell ourselves the truth, it will not work, because the institutionalizations of the criminals in helm of the administration of that particular country, or heading this ministry, heading army, heading this, heading that, and all the rest, and all the parastatal in the country is well carved out in a way that those people, even if you want to make an electoral reform or the constitution per se, for the interest they are benefiting from it, they will not allow it. They will still key in the negative aspect.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Emmanuel. Which country are you calling him from?
I'm calling you from Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know, I'm saying it from somebody who is experienced in criminal aspect of life.
But let me just say something. All of these countries that things are working, once upon a time, things didn't work there. Yeah, it took so this is the thing. So let me just say, I'm always surprised when we are ready. It's easy to give up. It's the easiest thing to do. Oh, I can't pass. Hold on. I can't pass this exam, so no need of reading. You don't read and you fail. It's easy. It's the easiest thing. And Nelson Mandela said, it is impossible until it's done. One of the things that I want us to understand is that we keep believing that Nigeria will not work because we have subconsciously been told that Nigeria will not work. And so we carry it on. Let me give you an example. In the early 80s, 90s, we were told that GSM is not for the poor man. We were told that mobile phone is not for the poor man. And guess what? We believed it. Until Obasanjo's regime came, did a lot of policy changes, and today at least GSM is something that people can aspire to. It once upon a time you can't. You even need a landed property for you to be able to have that 090 this thing. In the US, for example, in the 1930s, the mafias were in control of politics. The person who didn't collect bribe in the police was the one that was shamed. The FBI was shambles. That way you have. So the thing is this. So if it can work, hold on, Emmanuel. I'm going to give you room to speak before we go, because I dare you round up so that we go back to Ariyo. If you can be in the Republic of Ireland, where things once upon a time didn't work, where people didn't even have the right to vote, where as a citizen you were not allowed to vote. It's only certain people that had to vote. They broke away. Even up to today, you have issue. I think the other island, what are they called? Is that the Belfast? Not the Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland. Even sometimes now you have, they don't even, I don't even know whether this thing have started working. What's it called? Their parliament. It had to be closed down because of all the troubles over there and everything. But if they can do it, why? Yes, but they had to close it down for a while, for I think about 2 years. You know they have devolved power. Scotland, Welsh, the Welsh Assembly, the Scotland have their own, and then the Northern Ireland.
Very aware of that.
So they have. So the thing is that if it can work in these places where citizens had to work for it, why do you think that, oh, we can't get it? So what are we supposed to do? Sleep and assume that our life will be this failure and never do anything about it? Is that what we're supposed to do? No. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So if I should summarily put it to my own view, and looking at Nigerian situation as looking at some of the politicians who used to come here, some of the top police officers who used to come here, some of what I would call the activists that used to come here, and they're trying to sample from their views and everything. I think I key into, I am not all that, what do they say, a party somebody, but I try to, if you get two evils, you take the better evil. I try to key into Showere's ideology, revolution in that country. I have to tell you the truth, Aisha, because no matter the way we do it, those guys on the top, they will bend it. They will bend it to suit them. We know all those things. Do you understand my point? I key in to Showere's idea of total revolution, of that. Then we can sit down, because when you look at the whole thing, who is the commander-in-chief? If you look at the let me say, for example, our judicial system.
Oh, okay. So Emmanuel, because we don't have much time, I would like you to summarize either the comment or the question, so that Ariyo will come in.
Yeah, my question is this: with the biasness of our judicial institution, do you think that anything can work in that country?
Okay.
Because somebody, Buhari himself, positioned all those guys in such a way that they will continue to bend the law. As simple as ABCD.
Okay. Thank you so much, Emmanuel George, for calling in. We're going to get to Ariyo. Before we do that, I think we're going to take the last caller for today, and that's going to be God Gift again. I see his hand up, so I want to see.
I thank you for the good work you are doing, Aisha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emmanuel George. Thank you. Hello, God Gift. Did you want to speak again?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again for letting me in again.
Okay.
Yes, I think very like I said, I want to just agree to Emmanuel George before I ask my final question. Now, most of the reform that Mr. Ariyo talks about, they are wonderful and they are fantastic. In the country or in a place where systems actually work. But in this place, like you said, I was trying to say, and that was what I was trying to come back. Don't you think that our politicians will always bend? For instance, we talked about this money, the number and the amount of money that should be spent in an election. And then we have our politicians who actually go beyond that. For instance, if we say, okay, now they want to enforce it, and that a governor should only spend 500 million if he's contested for governor for 200 million. Now you have people who say that they are just doing that independently. Just like we have during elections, different groups coming out to say we are endorsing this candidate. They go out, go behind, and people they come. It doesn't be publicly. Don't you think that I have to be very sincere with you. Our politicians are crooked. They are scammers. For instance, we are talking of credibility. But Aisha will agree. Now, 2015 election, Buhari actually won the election. It was free and fair. In most part of the country, But is it credible today? No, the man is a scam.
So
do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is this: I don't know that we'll definitely get there. But I think what we need now beyond the electoral reform is total overhaul of our constitution.
Okay.
Total overhaul. I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you so much, God Gift, for calling back again and giving us a comment and also asking a question. I'm gonna call on Ariyo for him to answer some of these questions that have been asked. But before Ariyo comes in, I'm going to take on some of the issues that have been asked. You know, for you, Emmanuel, God Gift, you talked about the fact that in 2015 there was, credibly good election. It was free and fair. Guess why that election was like that? It was because of the card reader. Nothing else. It was the card reader. The card reader was brought in and it was said that is what will be used. If you go in there, if you like, go and snatch ballot box, whatever the card reader says, that's what it's going to. And if you stop the bus and come and say there are 3,000 votes, but the card reader only took in 500, they will not. The 3,000 will be discarded. It was when the card reader was deemed not to be admissible in the court by the Supreme Court in the case of Wike, the River State gubernatorial case that they had. That was when all of this scattered. So you see a single act, a small single act of doing, there was a bit of reform that time, and then the card reader was added. That card reader was able to bring sanity in our election. The moment the card reader was taken away, violence was brought back to our election. And for me, the 2019 election, it was decided when the president did not sign the electoral bill. And all the other opposition political parties, they should have insisted and been on the streets that there should be a sort of some sort of doctrine of necessity to ensure that thing was signed. But they didn't bother. Nobody was looking. I remember I did several videos on that alone. So since then, when you have things, little things can change a lot of things. And I tell you, Nigeria is a nation full of good people. Forget that there are few bad people doing things. When President Muhammadu Buhari was elected in 2015 and he assumed office, you will see that for the first 2-3 months, people were behaving well at the airports, in offices, and all of that, because they thought he was going to be different. They were thinking, oh, this is somebody that did war against indiscipline. This is somebody that will not do corruption. It was when they noticed that, oh, the president is like one of every other person, that all of these things started coming back. So little things can matter a lot. And then also answering like what Emmanuel has said, to say that, oh, things would work. Things would work if you believe they won't work. Things would work if you don't push the system. We have never pushed the system as citizens. We have just sat down to pray to God, and we say, oh, it will not work in our lifestyle. This Nigeria problem is too much. We've never really done it. If we sit down to really face this country and say, look, this thing must work. How many are the politicians? There are not many. The only thing is that they are united. Meanwhile, the citizens are not united. They are busy fighting unnecessary things. They are busy abusing each other. They are busy focusing on inanities. And these are the issues. Yeah, so these are the issues that we should focus on and ensure that we continue to fight, because there is no country. Read every history of every country. They had moments where things were bad. For example, in England, in the United Kingdom, Wales, for over 500 years, it was illegal to speak Welsh in Wales. Can you imagine that injustice? It was last century that they allowed them to start speaking their language again. You have it's like coming to either the north and saying that it's illegal to speak Hausa, or going to the west and say it's illegal to speak Yoruba, or going to the east and say, oh, it's against the law to speak Igbo. That was what they did to them. Imagine such injustice for 500 years. The Welsh people could not speak Welsh. You had to hide to speak Welsh. This is in United Kingdom. You know, when we think, oh, Nigerians are divided, United Kingdom, they are more divided than Nigerians. The Scottish person does not see eye to eye with the English person. The Irish person and the Welsh and the what, they don't see eye to eye. They fought wars, but guess what? They came together and they are living loosely and they are going on. I think by 1998 they decided to have the devolution, where, okay, instead of everything being done by Westminster Parliament, now you have the Scotland have their own parliament. You have Wales have their own parliament. Of course, you have the other one that goes for everything. England doesn't have its own parliament. It has the UK parliament. So what they now decided to do was to have something they call English votes for English law, EVEL. English vote for English law. So that, because what the English people now said was that it's not fair for them, because the UK parliament is in England and every decision made is by everybody. So what they now said was that, okay, there will be certain issues. When these issues are only focused on England, then it will be the English what do they call them now? Parliament members that will vote on that issue. So they call it EVEL, English votes for English laws. So people are able to bring out different things and exist. Right now, as I tell you, Scotland is fighting for referendum for them to move away. They've been doing this over time. So we cannot just continue. We are in places where things have worked. We are in places where people fought for things, and we are saying that things can't work in Nigeria. Why won't things work? Let me show you something here. I don't know whether, okay, for those of you on okay, this is it. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Things can actually work. Things can work. Like I say, I do not agree that things cannot work. It can work. But like what I'm saying is that the constitution itself is a scam.
Yes, so you see the thing.
Republic of Nigeria is a total scam.
Yes, so we agree on that. When you have credible people in office, they will work on that. Is it not the 1999 constitution? It's not the 1960 constitution now. It's 1999 constitution. So what is it? We will sit down again. When you have credible people that have the interest of the nation, we will sit down. What I wanted to show, as I was actually writing on this, then I realized I just opened it, I realized what it was. This is something from Scotland. And they are saying, are you a foreign citizen living in Scotland? The law in Scotland has been changed. You can now register to vote.
You don't have to be a Scottish person. You don't have to hold their passport. You don't have to be, the fact that you're just living here, or you're living here, they are saying they have amended their laws for you to, because you are affected by the laws being made. You are affected by the governance going on. This is how people are changing. This is what people are doing to develop. We are still holding ourselves. We are refusing to fight. We are refusing to change it. That's just what I wanted to say. But I'm going to hand over to Ariyo right now, for Ariyo to answer all of those questions and also round up the conversation for us. Ariyo, thank you so much for patiently being with us and teaching us so much about the electoral reform and the things that you're doing. Go ahead, please, and answer the questions and the comments that have come in, and also give us your closing remark.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm able to do that in 3-4 minutes. Number one, I think Mr. Emmanuel expressed some concern. And when I was looking at Mr. Emmanuel in his video, I saw a whole lot of books behind him. And when you read some of it, I saw a book on social media. Now, when you read some of these books, you are going to see the history of struggle, which we have not even found, a quarter of it in Nigeria.
Yes.
Good things don't come easy when it comes to governance. Democracy did not arrive by fiat. Democracy was a long through which, after the defeat of fascism, the defeat of, separating the state from the church, a lot of things, happen. People fought for democracy, for democracy to happen. When people go to the UK, to the US, they see beautiful things. They need to read through history. They need to know the number of souls that died for the not to possess the entire world. People need to know the number of souls. They need to know the number of people that were killed in the Battle of Normandy. They need to know what of people that were killed when Hitler invaded Soviet. Or probably when the Allied forces.
Yeah, when Hitler even invaded Poland and all of that.
Absolutely. So these were the prices that were paid for us to have, a world that is democratic in nature. And so people must. Now, as we're speaking, we have people who have been protesting in the United States of America in the last 3 months on daily basis, agitating for something. In Nigeria here, we cannot do 24-hour protest. We cannot do 3 hours protesting. So how do we want to get these things sorted out? Look, leadership, anytime you see, the realm of leadership is always a very different realm. When you get to that level, the thinking changes. What people must do is that, look, you must continue to push and push very hard, which we are not doing in Nigeria. So before we talk about, we are dissatisfied, distraught about what's going on in the country. But when it comes to the issue of good governance, I can tell you that we have not invested as much as anybody. We have not invested not even up to 10% of what some other people have done, for them to have what they have today. So it requires human investment. It's going to require a commitment for us to be able to have a better system. Especially the issue of electoral reform that we're talking about. There are a lot of things that we are not putting pressure on government. Look, the leaders don't dictate what can make a society to be better. It's always usually the people in every clan. It is it's always the force of the people in getting, not necessarily the people elected, who have found themselves into a position of authority through the barrel of guns. So it is incumbent on us as Nigerians for us to work together, for us to see, to show this commitment. If it's going, for instance, look at what is going on in the country. The energy sector is becoming exploitative. A lot of things are happening. But you know what's going on? What happened tomorrow? Labour is not even protesting Abuja. They say they are going to River State to protest that they have issue to settle with the River State government, and I see them booming. And look, there are a lot of things agitating the entire country. So I believe that there are a lot of misplaced priorities in Nigeria, but we must work together. For those of us who believe, I remember that there is hardly any month. I think in 2016, 2017, there's hardly any month or 2 months that we don't really protest. Madam Aisha is we're always there on the streets, calling on Nigerians. If it's not social media bill, it is one thing or another. And we've been doing this. And I can tell you that those protests that we did 2016, 2017, up to early 2018, which were very consistent, were the things that kept a lot of hope alive. Because people were becoming so disenchanted and disgruntled, But because people saw that, oh, let's protest, let's tell Nigerians that there is hope, and that actually kept a lot of. The same thing we have to do with electoral reforms. We just don't have to live from the National Assembly. So the mistake we made in the last session is the fact that we allowed the lawmakers to own the process. Now the people must own the process. It must be the people's speed, the people's demand. So everybody must be involved in this for us to get this Electoral Act amendment passed. This is not the time to show despair. This is not the time to be hopeless. This is the time for us to show courage in the face of adversity. This is time for us, as a people, to know what we actually want. And I believe that a platform such as this, offers that kind of opportunity for us to continue to remind ourselves that there is need for us to engage, our country democratically, and also to continue to agitate for good governance. That these things is not served a la carte. These things must be fought for. These things must be agitated for. This thing must be demanded for. And if it means for us to be on the streets, every day, we just have to pay. There are penalties. There are sacrifices we must make for us to have governance. There are dues that we have to pay for us to have governance. So these are some of the things we just, have to do. Hopefully Nigerians can become aware that, look, we can't have good leaders, when we don't have good law. So I want to say thank you to Madam Aisha for this platform, and I want to thank all those who have contributed. That, look, let us take this battle as our own battle. The National Assembly is resuming on September 15, 2020. That's next week. Now, we must, right from September 14, to start agitating, if not from now, going forward. Okay. I'm telling them that the only bill Nigerians want to see sorted first is the Electoral Amendment Bill. If you're going to work consistently for 4 weeks for you to get this bill passed, you have to do it. We don't want this bill to go into 2021. We want you to sort it out this year. You people should know you have also been a victim. You must tell them you have all been you have been victims of this process at one point or the other. Don't let us do something that will undermine us as a people. So I believe that we can collectively, work together for us, have a credible election, free, fair elections, and for us to have the law in place that will be addressed. So thank you, Madam Aisha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ariyo. God bless you. I mean, I just reached out to you and you need to come and tell us about this electoral bill and the electoral reform bill, though, and you just jump on it. Thank you so much. And I think I have personally been educated. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure a whole lot of people out there too. And I love this thing you said, democracy did not arrive by fear. There's somebody here, Ogosi Ugochukwu said, he said something here that the Italian government had to remove the mafias to join EU. So we have cabal all over the world. They are always there. But people ensure that they fight those cabal and entrench good system in place. And that's part of the things that we're doing. And like Ariyo did say, in Nigeria, honestly, even when they talk about protest, we have not really protested the way we have. I've not seen a Nigerian protest where you had up to 2 million people on the streets making demands every day and say we will not go anywhere until something is done. And we have the population. We need to take fear away. We need to stop self-defeating ourselves. We need to understand that we deserve the best that our country can give to us, and we can all do it. Thank you so much, Ariyo, for coming in today, even with such tight schedule, and even you drove in and then you stayed on. God bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you everyone on Zoom and on Facebook for joining in today and working on this. Please watch out. I will start sharing the links and on the electoral reform issue, and also the petition that needs to be signed, and anything that want to be done, whether they're going to be on the streets or anything. By grace of God, we'll continue to share that. Nigeria is our country, and we must ensure that it works. Nigeria must work in our lifetime.
by the grace of God. I so much believe in that. Thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully I see you tomorrow again, inshallah, at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. As for me here, it's bye-bye. God bless you.